Welcome into Chick and Ball. I'm your host, Els the Truth. Thank you for tuning in and watching. You know what time of year it is, not just holiday season, but also draft season. And before everybody start releasing their mock drafts, I thought we'd sit here and talk about the draft lottery odds and how everybody got in this position. The WNBA draft lottery will be held November 23rd, 6:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. And if you ain't tuning in, that's okay. Let me just break down the odds for you. So the Dallas Wings got the best chance at getting the number one pick after finishing with the worst record at 10-34. After finishing with the league's best record of 34-10, the Minnesota Lynx got the second best odds at getting the number one pick. Seattle Storm with the third best chance, Washington Mystics with the fourth best chance, Chicago Sky with the fifth best chance. The chances are based on each team's combined record over the past two seasons, with Minnesota and Seattle holding picks via prior trades. So let's get into those trades. First off, the Minnesota Lynx with the second best odds to get the number one pick is crazy, but you can thank the front office in Chicago for that. In last year's WNBA draft, the Minnesota Lynx had the 11th pick. They traded that to Chicago for Chicago's pick this year. Last year, Chicago selected Haley Van Lith, then went on to have the worst record, so now Minnesota can potentially end up with the number one overall pick. Not only did Chicago make that trade, they also traded their first round pick for 2027 for Ariel Atkins. That trade also included them giving up the third pick where Sonia Citron was selected. As far as the Seattle Storm having the third best odds to get the first overall pick, back in 2024, they traded their first overall pick to the Sparks for Kia Nurse, and their first overall pick ended up being Rakia Jackson, so worked out for the Sparks. But the Sparks gave up a 2026 first overall pick, and now we're here. With the Dallas Wings having the best odds to get the number one overall pick, you would think that it's almost impossible for a team to get the number one overall pick 2 years in a row, but it's happened in the WNBA quite a few times. Just happened with Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark. The Stars and the Aces got it 3 years in a row, got Kelsey Plum, Asia Wilson, and Jackie Young. The Seattle Storm 2 years in a row got Jewel Lloyd and Breanna Stewart. And the first time I can remember it happening is when the Seattle Storm selected Lauren Jackson and Sue Bird in back-to-back drafts. I'm not one of those people that think they fixed the WNBA draft, but maybe the first pick at least. And if I'm just playing conspiracy theorist for a second, I don't think they're going to get a Dallas Wings a second overall pick again. As good as Paige is, as good as they need that team to be, Paige is really good. I think we can all see it's only a matter of time before she take over this league. She definitely do need help over there in Dallas, but with the way these teams is positioned, they don't need the first overall pick to get a good player out of this draft. You can honestly slot them in at 2, 3, or 4, and they can still get a good player that can complement Paige. The players at the top of this draft all complement Paige. The Minnesota Lynx, they definitely don't need the number one overall pick. They done made it to the WNBA finals and then finished with the best record in back-to-back years, so no matter where you slot them, the rookie probably not even gonna play, so don't even waste their time. They pretty much already got their starting five, and I don't see that changing, especially not for a rook. The Seattle Storm could use the number one overall pick, but are they going to use that pick for the future to help build around Dominique Malunga, or are we still trying to do this whole Neko Ogwumike, Skylar Diggins thing? Because if we still own that, I'm cool with it, but bringing in another young player ain't going to help. They already didn't play Dominique Malunga, and she was the second overall pick. As far as the Washington Mystics, they got the fourth best odds, but they just had all them first round picks last year. Got Citron, Kiki, Georgia Amore, and Lucy Olsen. So they pretty much good on young players. They can definitely get another young player, but it's not going to help with the winning. If they do end up with a top 5 pick, they probably need to try to trade it and get another veteran. And that leaves us at the Chicago Sky with the 5th best odds. And if the WNBA care about the business at all, they need to give this number one overall pick to the Chicago Sky. Front office just basically been throwing shit up at the wall and ain't nothing sticking. You got one of the league's most popular players burning her brand away on a losing team. You got Camila Cardoso coming off being the most outstanding player coming into the draft, coming from South Carolina, a team that had amazing guards. And this team go out and draft Asia Sivka and Haley Van Lith and give up a first-round pick. Now Minnesota about to take their spot. This team does not have a dominant guard. They don't got no playmaker. They need the top pick in the draft so they can go and get Olivia Miles. But to be honest, they might screw that up too. They'll probably end up drafting Flau'jae Johnson just because her and Angel Reese played together in college, even though Flau'jae came out and said they ain't friends. And guess what? If you didn't know, Haley Van Lith and Angel Reese ain't friends either. So stop drafting players because they played together in college and go draft the best player available. This Chicago front office better know the fan base is on edge. I'ma say more than 50% of the Chicago Sky fan base is because of Angel Reese, and that might be being generous. It's probably 70-80%. And when she leaves, those fans leave too. What y'all need to understand is winning with Angel Reese on your team will be better than winning with any other player that you can get. And until this front office realize that, they're going to have a disgruntled player who's going to be focused on running it up off the court because on the court is just trash. But hey, those are just my quick thoughts on the draft lottery. Again, I want the Chicago Sky to get the #1 pick. Everybody else just fall in line. Let me know, who do you want to get the #1 overall pick? Who do you think gonna go first overall? Drop the comments and I'll shout some of y'all out on the mock draft shows. But that's all for now. Please don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you again for listening and watching. I'm Els for PRNL.